Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. From childhood, he showed signs of unusual curiosity. His eyes often locked onto machines, wires, and screens, as if he saw a world beyond what others could. By the age of 12, in 1983, Elon sold his first computer game, Blaster. The reward was only around $500. But for a young boy, it was more than money. It was proof that his mind could turn imagination into reality. Still, his early life was not easy. At school, he faced bullies. He was beaten so badly once that he lost consciousness and spent days in the hospital. At home, he often escaped into books, reading science fiction for hours, losing himself in distant worlds. In 1989, at the age of 17, Elon left South Africa. The streets of Pretoria faded behind him as he carried one burning thought: he wanted to reach America. He believed it was the land where the future could be built. He first landed in Canada, enrolling at Queen's University in Ontario. For 2 years, he struggled with odd jobs, cleaning boilers, working on farms, anything that would pay the bills. But inside him, there was a fire that never dimmed. In 1992, Elon transferred to the University of Pennsylvania in the United States. The campus buzzed with voices, students rushing between classes. But Elon spent nights alone, reading textbooks, mapping ideas, dreaming of technology that could change the world. By 1995, the internet boom had begun. Elon saw it not just as a new invention, but as a revolution. He dropped out of a PhD program at Stanford after just 2 days. The decision shocked his professors. But Elon was restless. He wanted to build. That same year, with his brother Kimball, he co-founded Zip2. It was a city guide software for newspapers, a product ahead of its time. In small rented offices, they worked day and night, sleeping under desks, surviving on little more than coffee and cheap meals. The fluorescent lights of the office burned into his eyes, but he kept typing. In 1999, the gamble paid off. Compaq bought Zip2 for $307 million. Elon Musk's share was $22 million. For the first time, he was a millionaire. But for Elon, this was not the end. It was only the beginning. With $22 million from the sale of Zip2, Elon Musk was only 28 years old. The money gave him comfort. But comfort was not what he wanted. In March 1999, Elon launched a new company. He called it X.com. It was one of the first online banks in the world. The idea was bold. Many investors thought it was too risky. But Elon felt the pulse of the internet rising. He knew that money itself would one day flow online. Inside the office, the glow of computer screens filled the room. The sound of keyboards tapping echoed late into the night. Elon often slept on a beanbag, waking only to drink coffee and return to his vision. But with ambition came conflict. In 2000, X.com merged with a company called Confinity. That merger brought in a product which would become legendary. It was called PayPal. The battles inside the boardroom were fierce. Elon wanted to push X.com branding. Others believed PayPal was the future. The tension grew like fire under steel. In September 2000, while Elon was away on his honeymoon, the board voted to replace him as CEO. The shock hit him hard. It felt like betrayal. But Elon refused to let it end his story. In October 2002, eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion in stock. Elon Musk's share made him $165 million richer. At only 31 years old, he was no longer just a millionaire. He was now on the path to becoming a billionaire. But with new wealth came new discomfort. Because Elon Musk was about to risk nearly everything he had earned. On dreams that most people thought were impossible. After PayPal, Elon Musk could have retired forever. He had more than enough wealth to live in comfort. But inside him, there was a restlessness. A hunger that refused to sleep. In 2002, Elon founded Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, SpaceX. His goal was not small. He wanted to make humanity a multiplanetary species. He wanted to reach Mars. The very idea sounded insane to many. Friends told him he was wasting money. Experts laughed, calling him naive. But Elon pressed forward. In a small warehouse in El Segundo, California, engineers worked beside Elon. Sparks flew as metal was cut. Engines roared on test stands, shaking the ground. The smell of fuel filled the air. And yet, failure followed them. The first launch of the Falcon 1 came on March 24, 2006. It lifted off the pad with fire and thunder. But after just 33 seconds, the rocket spun out of control and exploded. Elon stood watching, his chest heavy, his dream in flames. The second launch came on March 21, 2007. Again, the rocket rose with power. But a fuel leak doomed the mission. Another explosion. Another failure. By now, critics mocked him. They said rockets were for governments, not for dreamers. Then came the third attempt on August 2, 2008. The Falcon 1 lifted into the blue sky. For a moment, hope filled the air. But a stage separation problem destroyed it once again. 3 failures. Millions lost. And Elon was nearly broke. At that time, he had invested almost all of his PayPal fortune into SpaceX and Tesla. By late 2008, he described his life in one sentence. I was facing a choice. Either split the money I had left between Tesla and SpaceX, or both companies would die. The pressure was unbearable. His marriage was breaking. His companies were collapsing. And the world was ready to call him a failure. But Elon refused to stop. He ordered a 4th launch. And this one would decide everything. The 4th launch of Falcon 1 was scheduled for September 28, 2008. It was Elon Musk's last chance. Every dollar he had left, every piece of hope, was riding on this rocket. The launch site stood on Amalek Island, a remote strip of land in the Pacific Ocean. The salty air blew against the metal towers. Technicians moved carefully, their faces tense with fear of another failure. Elon watched from the control room. His palms were damp. His eyes fixed on the screen, refusing to blink. The countdown began. The engines roared to life, thunder shaking the earth. The rocket lifted into the air with a blazing tail of fire. This time, it held steady. Stage 1 separated. Then Stage 2. Minutes passed like hours. The entire team held its breath. Finally, the words came through the speakers. We have reached orbit. For the first time in history, a private company had launched a liquid-fueled rocket into orbit. Elon dropped his head into his hands. Tears welled in his eyes. After years of failure and humiliation, SpaceX had finally succeeded. But the real miracle came only days later. On December 23, 2008, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. The contract saved SpaceX from death. And it marked the beginning of Elon Musk's climb from near bankruptcy to global dominance. Still, the pain of 2008 never left him. Elon once said, "It was the worst year of my life." Because while SpaceX survived, Tesla was fighting its own war. And Elon Musk was about to face another battle, one that would test his very soul. While SpaceX celebrated survival, Tesla was gasping for air. It was the end of 2008, and the global financial crisis had crushed the auto industry. Big giants like General Motors and Chrysler begged for bailouts. For a small startup like Tesla, survival seemed impossible. Tesla's Roadster, their first electric car, had launched in 2008, but the company was bleeding cash. Costs were far higher than expected. Delays destroyed investor confidence. And lawsuits piled up. By December, Tesla had only weeks of money left. Employees whispered in fear. Some did not know if they would have a job tomorrow. The office atmosphere was heavy, like a storm about to break. Elon Musk himself was broke. He had poured every dollar of his PayPal fortune into SpaceX and Tesla. He had taken personal loans just to pay rent. His marriage was falling apart. He described it later as standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into the abyss. Then came the shocking moment. On Christmas Eve, 2008, just hours before Tesla would have gone bankrupt, Elon secured emergency funding from investors. It was like pulling the company back from the dead at the very last second. The relief was so overwhelming that employees wept at their desks. For Elon, it was a moment of pure exhaustion and fragile victory. He had saved Tesla, but only barely. In the years that followed, Tesla slowly gained strength. By 2010, the company went public on the Nasdaq, raising over $200 million. It was the first American car company to go public since Ford in 1956. The world started to see that Tesla was not just a dream. It was real. And Elon Musk was not just another entrepreneur. He was a man who refused to accept defeat. But the path ahead was still dangerous. The Model S was in development. Billions were at stake. And one wrong step could still destroy everything. By 2012, Tesla had moved beyond survival. The company was ready to unveil its most ambitious project yet, the Model S sedan. Unlike the small roadster, this was a full-sized luxury car designed to rival the giants of the industry. But the pressure was suffocating. If the Model S failed, Tesla would collapse. Every investor, every employee, every critic was watching. And many predicted disaster. On a bright June morning in 2012, the first Model S rolled out of Tesla's Fremont factory in California. The car gleamed under the sunlight. Its design was sleek, futuristic, and bold. Elon Musk watched silently, his face tense, knowing what was at stake. Reviewers climbed in, hands brushing against the leather seats, eyes wide as the silent motor came to life. The car moved forward without a sound, smooth as silk, as if gliding across the earth. The reaction was electric. Critics who once mocked Tesla were now stunned. Motor Trend named the Model S the car of the year in 2013, calling it revolutionary. Consumers were shocked that an electric car could be faster, more stylish, and more luxurious than gasoline competitors. Demand surged. Tesla's stock began to rise. And for the first time, the world saw Elon Musk not as a dreamer, but as a disruptor. Someone capable of shaking entire industries. But success brought new battles. The oil industry began to see Tesla as a threat. Traditional automakers launched smear campaigns. And behind the scenes, Elon Musk pushed himself harder than ever. His mind was restless, his health strained, his body often trembling with exhaustion. Still, he pressed on. Because Elon's vision was larger than just cars. He wanted to change how humanity lived, how it traveled, how it survived on Earth, and beyond. The question now was, could he keep Tesla alive long enough to make that vision real? In May 2012, just months before Tesla launched the Model S, SpaceX prepared for a mission that could change history. The Dragon spacecraft was set to dock with the International Space Station. No private company had ever done this before. Only government space agencies had reached that level. The world watched as the Falcon 9 rocket launched into the sky. Flames tore across the horizon. Inside the control room, Elon Musk's face was pale, his eyes fixed on the data screens. He knew what failure would mean: humiliation, bankruptcy, maybe the end of SpaceX. Minutes felt like hours. Every beep, every update shook his nerves. Dragon separated from the rocket. It drifted silently toward the massive station, guided by technology no private company had tested in space before. Then, in a moment that stunned even NASA officials, the Dragon capsule successfully docked with the ISS. For the first time in history, a private company had delivered cargo to space. The room erupted in cheers. Elon Musk, usually calm and guarded, broke down in tears. The weight of years of failure, mockery, and near collapse came crashing down. And now, he had done what many experts once called impossible. Tesla was alive. SpaceX was alive. And Elon Musk was no longer just a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. He was a symbol of resilience and defiance. But this victory came at a heavy cost. Behind the cameras, Elon worked endless hours, sleeping on factory floors, skipping meals, living in a constant storm of stress. He admitted later that in 2012, he almost had a nervous breakdown. Still, the momentum was unstoppable. Tesla's Model S gained global attention. SpaceX became a trusted partner for NASA. And investors started whispering a new question. Could Elon Musk become the next Steve Jobs? Or something even greater? But the real shock was yet to come. Because Elon Musk was preparing to take Tesla, SpaceX, and even his own health to limits no one thought possible. By 2015, Tesla had introduced a groundbreaking feature, autopilot. It allowed the car to steer, change lanes, and adjust speed on its own. For many, it felt like science fiction had come to life. Drivers described the sensation as eerie and thrilling. The steering wheel moved by itself. The car adjusted to traffic without a single touch. Some felt a chill in their spine, as if they were no longer in control. Critics warned of danger. Supporters called it the future. Either way, Tesla had once again shaken the auto industry. Meanwhile, at SpaceX, Elon was chasing an even crazier dream, reusable rockets. For decades, rockets were thrown away after each launch, costing billions. Elon wanted to land them back on Earth, upright, ready to fly again. On December 21, 2015, Falcon 9 lifted off from Cape Canaveral, Florida. The roar echoed across the ocean. After delivering satellites into orbit, the rocket began its return. People held their breath as the massive cylinder descended through the atmosphere, flames blasting from its engines. Then, in a moment that stunned the entire world, Falcon 9 touched down vertically on solid ground. The impossible had just become reality. Crowds screamed. Engineers jumped to their feet, clapping and crying. Elon Musk smiled faintly, but his hands trembled with adrenaline. He had just changed spaceflight forever. A few months later, in April 2016, SpaceX made history again by landing a rocket on a floating drone ship in the middle of the ocean. The sight of a giant rocket standing tall on a tiny platform, surrounded by waves, was surreal. It felt like a glimpse of the future. But even as the world celebrated, Elon Musk felt the weight pressing down on him. Tesla was still struggling with production delays. SpaceX was pushing technology to its limits. And Elon's personal life was stormy and painful. The victories were real, but the cost was enormous. Elon Musk's journey was no longer just about success. It was about survival, vision, and a battle against time itself. In February 2018, SpaceX unveiled its most powerful rocket yet, the Falcon Heavy. 3 boosters, 27 engines, and the power to lift massive payloads into space. On launch day, millions watched live. The rocket thundered into the sky, carrying a strange payload, Elon Musk's personal red Tesla Roadster, with a mannequin astronaut named Starman sitting at the wheel. As Earth faded in the background, the car floated through space, radio playing softly. It was a surreal image that captured headlines worldwide. But while SpaceX was making history, Tesla was under fire. Production of the Model 3, Elon's affordable electric car for the masses, was failing. Factories were chaotic. Robots malfunctioned. Cars rolled out slower than promised. By mid-2018, Tesla was losing nearly $1 billion every quarter. Short sellers, investors betting on Tesla's failure, circled like vultures. Some said Tesla would die within months. The pressure broke Elon. He confessed later that 2018 was the most painful year of his life. He worked 120-hour weeks, often sleeping on Tesla's factory floor, using a sleeping bag beside the humming machines. His eyes were bloodshot, his face thin, his voice shaky from exhaustion. Then came one of the most shocking moments. On August 7, 2018, Elon tweeted, "I'm considering taking Tesla private at $420. Funding secured." The internet exploded. Tesla's stock price soared. But when regulators questioned him, it became clear the funding was not locked down. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission charged him with fraud. Elon Musk was forced to step down as Tesla's chairman, though he remained CEO. It was a humiliating blow. Yet, somehow, Tesla survived. By 2019, production improved. Model 3 deliveries increased. And Tesla began to show profits. For the first time, critics started to realize Elon Musk was not going away. Then came 2020. The world shut down during the COVID-19 pandemic. Factories closed, markets panicked. But Tesla shocked everyone by not only surviving but thriving. That year, Tesla became the most valuable car company in the world, surpassing Toyota. And at SpaceX, another miracle happened. In May 2020, SpaceX launched Crew Dragon Demo 2, carrying astronauts to the International Space Station. For the first time since the Space Shuttle retired, America had sent astronauts to space, and it was not NASA, but Elon Musk's SpaceX that made it happen. The boy who once read science fiction alone in South Africa was now reshaping the future of humanity. But Elon Musk's story did not stop there. Because what came next was beyond even his childhood dreams. By 2021, Tesla was no longer just a car company. It had become a global phenomenon. In October, Tesla's market value crossed $1 trillion. For the first time in history, an automaker had reached that level. Elon Musk, the boy born in Pretoria on June 28, 1971, was now the richest man on Earth. His net worth soared past $300 billion at one point, more than Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates. But while the headlines praised him, Elon felt constant pressure. Tesla factories worked day and night. Delays, recalls, and worker protests kept surfacing. The burden of leading a trillion-dollar empire weighed heavily on his shoulders. At the same time, SpaceX was pushing boundaries with Starship, the largest rocket ever built. From the dusty plains of Boca Chica, Texas, enormous silver rockets rose into the sky. Test flights in 2021 and 2022 ended with explosions, fireballs lighting up the horizon. Yet each failure brought improvements. Each crash was a step toward Mars. Elon stood at the launch site, hands on his hips, eyes locked on the flames. To others, it looked like disaster. To him, it was progress. Then, in 2022, Elon Musk shocked the world again. He announced he would buy Twitter for $44 billion. The news dominated headlines. Some saw it as a bold move for free speech. Others saw it as reckless madness. When the deal closed in October 2022, chaos followed. Thousands of employees were laid off. Policies shifted overnight. Critics accused him of destroying the platform. Supporters called him a hero for challenging censorship. Through it all, Elon Musk kept moving. In 2023, Tesla expanded production in Berlin and Texas. SpaceX launched record numbers of rockets, dominating global spaceflight. And Starlink satellites spread across the skies, bringing internet to remote corners of the world. But the more powerful Elon Musk became, the more divided opinions grew. To some, he was a visionary genius, the man leading humanity into the future. To others, he was reckless, unstable, and dangerous. One thing was certain. Elon Musk's journey from a shy boy in South Africa to the richest man on Earth was no ordinary success story. It was a storm of brilliance, risk, pain, and defiance. And even now, as rockets rise and cars drive themselves, the world still asks, how far will Elon Musk go? And what price will he, and all of humanity, pay for his vision? In 2024, SpaceX reached new milestones. Starship, the towering rocket designed for Mars, finally completed successful high-altitude tests and began preparing for full orbital missions. Each launch shook the ground of Boca Chica, Texas, like thunder rolling across the desert. The dream of colonizing Mars no longer seemed like fantasy. For Elon Musk, it was becoming a timeline. He spoke of sending humans to the Red Planet in the late 2020s. Many doubted him. But they had doubted before, and he had proven them wrong. Meanwhile, Tesla pushed deeper into artificial intelligence and robotics. In 2024, the company showcased progress on the Tesla Optimus robot, a humanoid machine designed to handle physical tasks. Its movements were still mechanical, but its potential was undeniable. The idea of millions of robots working alongside humans sparked both excitement and fear. Tesla's cars became smarter than ever. Self-driving technology advanced with every software update. The steering wheel became less necessary, as cars began to think for themselves. For passengers, it felt like surrendering control to an invisible driver. Some felt wonder. Others felt unease. At the same time, Elon Musk's company Neuralink began testing brain implants on humans. The technology promised to help the paralyzed walk again and even merge human minds with artificial intelligence. The first clinical trials in 2024 made headlines across the globe. The thought of connecting the human brain directly to a computer was both thrilling and terrifying. But Elon Musk's journey was not free from conflict. In 2025, governments and regulators challenged him more fiercely than ever. Concerns about safety, monopoly power, and his influence over space, communication, and even free speech dominated headlines. He stood on stages, defiant as always. His voice sharp, his eyes filled with fire. He insisted that everything he did, from rockets to robots to brain chips, was for the survival of humanity. That the risks of inaction were far greater than the risks of his bold ideas. Now, in 2025, Elon Musk is no longer just an entrepreneur. He is a figure who divides the world. To some, he is the savior of the future. To others, he is a reckless gambler with humanity's fate. And as rockets roar into the skies, as AI grows smarter, as brain and machine edge closer to becoming one, the question remains: is Elon Musk building a new age for humanity? Or is he leading us into dangers we cannot yet understand? And so, from a quiet boy in Pretoria, born on June 28, 1971, to the richest man on Earth, Elon Musk's journey has been anything but ordinary. It has been a story of risk and survival. Of failures so crushing that most would have walked away. And of victories so massive that they reshaped entire industries. Through PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and beyond, Elon Musk has shown the world what relentless vision can achieve. But he has also reminded us of the heavy cost of chasing the impossible. Today, his rockets light up the skies. His cars whisper across highways. And his ideas spark debates in every corner of the world. Whether you see him as a genius or a gambler, a visionary or a disruptor, one truth remains. Elon Musk has forever changed the way we think about technology, ambition, and the future of humanity. And as the world watches his next move, one question lingers in the minds of millions. Is this the beginning of humanity's greatest chapter, or the start of its most dangerous gamble? Only time will tell. If you found Elon Musk's journey as shocking and inspiring as we did, imagine the untold stories of other visionaries, rebels, and legends waiting to be discovered. Do not just watch history happen. Be part of it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss the stories that reveal the secrets, the struggles, and the victories that shape our world. Because the next story might just change the way you see the future.